Hi, and welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. Today we are doing episode 3 of The Walking Teens, or The World Beyond, whatever you want to call it. We're back to do minor spoilers, so if you want to go into this fresh, totally clear, and not have anything told to you about this series or this particular episode, then leave now. So episode 3 starts off exactly where we left the teens. They were on top of this little stage looking out towards the tires of smoke and the horde of zombies, and Hope was going to go and save the day. She was going to go to that little tower and climb her way to the top that looked completely constructed for this set, and make her way to the roof and wind up the to draw all the zombies. So she was going to save the day, even though they decided not to be the ones to do that they were going to escape together. And so they slept there the whole night, and somehow these teens didn't have any coughing restrictions. They all felt kind of fine. There was, I think, one splutter and the whole time that they needed to cross these tires. So there is that. If you know anything about fire, if you are higher but quite close to the fire, smoke rises. Rather than doing that, you should probably get lower to the floor and crawl your way out of it. That's just how fire works, and so that bit is unbelievable. But this episode could definitely be called Silas's backstory, and this is the part of the episode I think that kind of works. And I know you're probably going, what? There's something that works in this? The Silas character has always been the silent type. You kind of want to know what's going on with him, and so we have a few moments of flashbacks where we see the backstory of Silas. Well, some of it. We understand why he is scared to kill something, and we find out that it's more on the rage side rather than the fear side, and so that makes so much more sense. You have so much more kind of weight to his character, why he is silent, why he is scared to do any harm to others, and I really like that bit about it. So I didn't mind so much the flashback of the school there, because it added weight to their current plight, with what they're going through. Anyway, the kids then meet up with Alex. Alex is furious, obviously. He's been tracking them, and they are now having to escape the tires and the horde of zombies. Thankfully, Hope manages to crank the horn. Even though the crank is broken, she does a makeshift thing, and she's like, you go on without me, and they do escape, but Hope manages to make her way through. The zombies seemed more interested in the sound, even though that the teens are running past them. Alex and his partner stab a few zombies on the way, and they have plot protection, because as they escape the tires, there's this kind of little tower of tires that happens to fall behind them, so that the zombies can't follow them. Plot protection. Every episode I'm going to try and find a few really positive things to talk about, so that I don't feel like I'm one of those persons that's just ripping it apart completely. I feel like this series would be easy to rip apart, so as I'm breaking it down, I'll give you a couple of good positives. Here we find that Hope was smart. She's the one person that goes, okay, we need to switch off our walkies so that when we can save batteries, also so it doesn't make a noise. And so many times I've seen, even in zombie films, where you get the classic, someone's trying to talk, and that reveals the location to the zombies, and they come and find you and eat you. So I was like, well, that was a smart move, well done. Another really positive thing about this episode was the amount of variation in the zombie prosthetics and makeup. They looked very cool. I mean, in episode 2 you saw one with the moss growing all over it. In episode 1 you saw one of the zombies grown into a tree, and so they're really getting creative with the zombie makeup. We've had 2 different seasons of The Walking Dead already, so obviously the teams behind making the zombies are very good at what they do, because they've had a lot of practice, and that shows here. Definitely one of the strongest things about this series is the different types of zombies you get and how they look. Except these zombies seem to be even slower than the ones that we've had in the previous 2 series. They definitely do, like, they hark back to the black and white, really slow zombies. Hope's character, quite contradictory in this episode. She gets cornered by a zombie in a cupboard, and it smashed through a cupboard, and she screams like a girl, but she is a girl. And then, like, literally moments later, she's saying phrases like, son of a motherfucking bitch, but it's actually cut off a little bit. Because from one moment she's super brave and strong, to another moment she's acting really, really scared, and I found it difficult to relate to that. Hope also shares a secret that she hasn't told her sister about what happened with her mother when she died, and there is a revelation there, and her sister says, "You should have told me." This episode seems to be filled with dialogue that is unnecessary. There is dialogue that they could have done on the move, instead of places where they stop after an action sequence or a moment that the arc has gone forward, and then you find them in places where they need to do dialogue, expositioning, dump, characterization, building, but in a slow movement. So there is parts in this episode where Hope is doing the goodbye speech, which feels very unnecessary because we know that they are going to survive. There's 2 seasons that's been greenlit. There's no more, no less. 2 seasons in total, so we know that these characters are going to at least survive for 1 season, and then they might kill off one at the end of the first season. So having said that, there are more dialogue dumps that is unnecessary, and I feel like that is the same for episode 1, 2 and this one, obviously. So if they could do arc while on the move, it's much like what the previous 2 series do. They do dialogue dumps on the move, and that's much more interesting that way because you feel for their plight, because they're trying to have building conversations that build characters while they're facing what the world is bringing to them. And this is my whole issue with the series, really. It's teen being placed in the Walking Dead world and seeing how they react to that. Rarely it should be the other way around. Walking Dead world being placed with teens. And so if we had the correct usage of this storytelling mechanic, it would be less about the teens, what it's like to be a teen in the Walking Dead world, rather than these people trying to survive in the Walking Dead world. Although it is a new premise and maybe people are loving it, I don't know. The best part of this episode was the last 7 minutes of this episode, where there's a character that I like to call the Captain Catherine Janeway lookalike.
Objection noted. We'll do this without you.
Last light.
She definitely looks like Captain Catherine Janeway. She has a moment with one of her soldiers that can't quite understand what they did. The massacre of the town and people. He can't understand the reasoning behind it, and she does this whole speech where we have power, agriculture, science, we are the last bastion of Earth, and what we do is okay. Do what we do because what we do means that we are right and nobody else can tell us any different. And so we have this speech. There's this presence that this character has, the way it's filmed, that just adds weight to the story. And it reminds me of some of the bad guys that we've had in the previous 2 seasons. This 7 minutes made me hopeful that we could get more episodes like this. If we get more of her characters, or if the story is told in such a way that we get more weight, that we care about the plight of the teens, the walking teens, what they're walking into, could make the series worth watching, because those last 7 minutes I thought were really good. It was tense, even though particularly nothing was happening, just the conversation around it, the lack of score. I thought those 7 minutes was worth watching this episode for. So yeah, we've got another screener for episode 4, so I'll be putting that out with minor spoilers. Do let me know in the comments below if you like this sort of breakdown, and if it helps you maybe trying to get into the zone of the walking teens, and if you're going to stick it out. Which is your favorite series so far? I'd love to know. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long on Tuesday.